We are at the beginning. When you look at it, at technology transformation, it usually takes place in the terms of an S-curve. And we are just now where we move into the exponential phase. And I agree, artificial intelligence, but not only artificial intelligence, but also the metaverse, near space technologies, and I could go on and on, synthetic biology. Our life in 10 years from now will be completely different, very much affected, and who masters those technologies in some way will be the master of the world.
When Yuval Noah Harari published his first book, Sapiens, in 2014, about the history of the human species, it became a global bestseller, and turned the little-known Israeli history professor into one of the most popular writers and thinkers on the planet. But when we met with Harari in Tel Aviv this summer, it wasn't our species' past that concerned him. It was our future.
Life is about to break out of the limited organic realm and start spreading into the vastness of the inorganic realm. We are about to create the first inorganic life forms after 4 billion years of evolution. And in the process, our own species, Homo sapiens, is likely to disappear, not because we will destroy ourselves, but because we will change and upgrade ourselves into something very different. In the 21st century will be to try and gain control of the world inside us, to learn how to engineer and produce bodies and brains and minds. These are likely to be the main products of the 21st century economy. In the coming decades, AI and biotechnology will give us godlike abilities to re-engineer life and even to create completely new life forms. Then the big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games.
You can provide them with bread and circuses, and you can provide them with endless amounts of distractions and propaganda.
But this doesn't sound like a very appealing future.
We're going to become increasingly non-biological to the point where the non-biological part predominates and the biological part is not that important anymore. In fact, the non-biological part, the machine part, will be so powerful it can completely model and understand the biological part. So even if that biological part went away, it wouldn't make any difference because the non-biological part already understood it completely.
Another step then is in the 2030s, when we can actually connect our neocortex, which is where we do our thinking, to computers. So I believe that will happen in the 2030s. We will actually, so just the way this is greatly amplified by being connected to the cloud, we can connect our own brain to the cloud.
In terms of the microchips, you know, I've done stories in my books over the years about the Swedish microchips and people having these little rice-like chips put in and, you know, opening doors, lazy bastards.
When Elias Brotberger goes to work, he doesn't need ID, and he doesn't need money. In fact, much of what he needs to get through the day is hidden right there, just below the surface, in his hand.
You like to touch it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, weird. Yeah, it's like a grain of rice.
Yeah, a grain of rice.
In so many ways, you see, the rice-sized chips are a diversion. Oh, well, if I've not got the rice-sized chip, I'm not microchipped. Well, maybe you are. Have you had the Oh, I've had the yeah, COVID. Yeah, well, you're microchipped then. Because the chipping that is really the focus of the cult control system is nanotechnology. There's so many dots to connect to make this clear. So we've got people like Elon Musk who have permission now to put tens of thousands of low-orbit satellites. There's hundreds going up all the time. Others too, but he's the leading one with SpaceX.
Elon Musk is hoping to send 42,000 of these satellites to space, 15 times the number of operational satellites in orbit today. It's part of Starlink, the expansive constellation from Musk and SpaceX that hopes to bring the world low-latency, high-speed internet, promising no more buffering and nearly instantaneous internet in every corner of the world. But experts worry it may come at a hefty cost for space exploration.
They are generating what the technocrats call the cloud. The cloud is an electromagnetic field of radiation.
The cloud is a global network of servers around the world acting as one massive hard drive. Every time you sign into your Gmail account, watch a show on Netflix, or open a file from Dropbox, you're using the cloud. Before the cloud, you might have backed up your documents, photos, or music to an external device like a CD-ROM or to your computer's hard drive. Now you can back up all of that information to the cloud,
to which the human mind brain is planned to be connected, and not too far from now either. In fact, it's already happening. So what you do is you infuse on the excuse of COVID, we're all going to die and this will just save you. But once you have the fake, then this self-replicating system starts. And the more you have, the quicker it impacts upon you. And some people their bodies simply can't cope with that transition. And so this is why we have all these sports people, young sports people are keeling over with heart attacks, and all these young people with heart problems. But the idea is that this self-replicating system within the body, nano, connects to the cloud. That's how they are planning to connect the human brain body to the cloud. And what we call AI, to create a hive mind. Think of a queen bee sending out frequency information, because that's how it works, to the other bees, who then go and work according to the frequency that they are connecting with, and they're just a hive, automatons, just doing whatever serves the queen bee. Well, the idea is that you connect the human brain body to this cloud, and the cloud then becomes the hive mind for the population. And don't take my word for it. There's a guy called Ray Kurzweil, he's a Google executive, called a futurist. And he's not alone in this, but he's a good example, who some years ago now said that by 2030, humans would be connected, the human brains will be connected to AI. The rice-like microchips that we've seen used in Sweden and other places, they're basically a diversion. And so is Musk's Neuralink a diversion. In my last book, my new book's not long come out, called The Dream, I quote Elon Musk. What they're saying at Neuralink, you will have seen it, is we're going to put sensors in the brain, which means we have to take a piece of skull off, put a sensor in the brain, and then we can manipulate the brain from outside. And a lot of people have gone, I'm not going to have a bit of my brain taken away, a bit of skull taken away, stuff. Okay, but that's a diversion, because I quote him in the book. He was asked in an interview that very question. Well, you have to take a piece of skull away, and I mean, people aren't going to want to do that, are they? And he said, oh, no. He said, you can do it through the veins.
I mean, there are a few ways to approach this, but some sort of interface directly with your cortical neurons particularly.
But doesn't that imply surgical insertion?
Not necessarily. You could go through the veins and arteries, because that provides a complete roadway to all of your neurons.
In other words, through you can insert the connection without opening the skull. And that is what the fake was all about. And the more that people have had, the more advanced that becomes. And, it's quite interesting. we've seen the physical, quote physical, consequences for many people in death and in health destruction of the fake. But what I've seen and noticed and heard from so many people are the psychological changes that have taken place. I've heard this so many times. Of course, you know, we've got the 5G, we've got the 6G, 7G to come. And these satellites are going up all the time, like this Starlink system of Musk, to beam this radiation field. And it's gathering and it's gathering and it's gathering. And we've got all these towers everywhere putting it out. So although it's not fully complete, like every inch of the planet is covered with this radiation field, in the urban areas, it's already massively advanced. Therefore, people are starting to be connected to this cloud who've had the and that will affect their psychology, and it will also affect their acquiescence to authority. Because the more you can develop this hive mind connection, the more people will not question authority, because what their mind, their brain is connected to is not programmed to question authority. So you get fewer and fewer and fewer people questioning what's going on, who've gone through this process. And eventually no one is questioning it.
And then you can control this person, manipulate them, and make decisions for them.
Can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants.
People will literally be part of a network. All the bodies, all the brains would be connected together to a network, and you won't be able to survive if you're disconnected from the net.
We need to accept that there will be some pain in the process.
I think we're going to have to think about a recalibration of a whole range of human rights that are playing out online.
Individual carbon footprint tracker.
Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
Are we ready for a new world order?
The field of synthetic biology is a new frontier of science. It draws from biochemistry and biomedicine, genetics, robotics, radiation biology, and information technologies. Using nanotechnology, its goals are to improve and transcend the limits of nature. On February 21st of this year, Time magazine had a feature story on the Singularity, the term signifying the merging of man with machine. The story was released on Valentine's Day, February 14th, to underscore a love affair, the marriage of humanity and technology. The article tells us that a transformation is coming, and our species, Homo sapien, will no longer be recognizable as itself. We will be something new, something better. The time predicted for this transformation is 2045. The man who is making this prediction is Ray Kurzweil, a futurist known for his uncanny accuracy in just this area, the pace at which technology grows and improves, such that it will one day be smarter and better than us. That's the Singularity. There's a Singularity University hosted by NASA, sponsored by Google, to teach people about the intelligence explosion. Ray Kurzweil has made fortunes over and over as an engineer and inventor. A documentary about him is called The Transcendent Man. He wrote the best-selling book that you see here, The Singularity is Near, which came out in 2005. Singularity is a word from astrophysics, referring to a point in space-time where the rules of ordinary physics no longer apply. Kurzweil has correctly predicted the growth of information technologies. He has made it clear to the world that technological progress is exponential, not linear, which means that advancement begins to advance itself, in a manner of speaking. Exponential curves start slowly and then explode. A quote from the Time magazine article In Kurzweil's future, biotechnology and nanotechnology give us the power to manipulate our bodies and the world around us at will, at the molecular level. We ditch Darwin and take charge of our own evolution. The question is, who is we and what is at will? Whose will? Kurzweil predicts that by 2020 we will have successfully reverse engineered the human brain. And when hyper-intelligent artificial intelligence arrives, all we have to do is hand ourselves off to it. Armed with advanced nanotechnology, AI will solve the problems of the world. Strong AI, they use this term, is a super powerful, broad-spectrum intelligence that operates as easily and comfortably as a human being. It isn't just a chess-playing computer. It's a machine intelligence that can pass for human in a blind test, which is as close as you can get to consciousness or sentience. Now, once this kind of intelligence is here, what will it do as a newly created inhabitant of the Earth? Would it compete with us for resources? More intelligent than we are, would it treat us as lesser beings? Would it recognize that we made it, or would it overrun us? Kurzweil is one of the world's leading transhumanists, number 30 on Time's most influential list. Transhumanists believe that we ourselves should merge with machines. Imagine a time when we can download our brains into a computer and upload a computer into our brains.
The three great overlapping revolutions sometimes goes by the letter G and R. And G stands for genetics. Really, another word for it is biotechnology, is mastering the information processes in our biology. And we ultimately will actually be able to reprogram biology away from disease and from aging. N stands for nanotechnology. In the next 25 years, we will have blood cell-sized devices that go inside your body and keep you healthy from inside. That go in your brain and interact with your biological neurons and allow us to merge with non-biological intelligence. The third one goes by the letter R, which stands for robotics, robots. Really, though, refers to artificial intelligence. And that's the most significant revolution of all. In about 20 years, I've set the date 2029, a machine, an AI, will be able to match human intelligence and go beyond it. So artificial intelligence, which will give us not just more human intelligence, but will actually give us superhuman intelligence, will enable us to solve problems that we're not able to solve today. We're looking forward to a time where we can back up our brains. Our brains will be largely non-biological, so we will be basically machines. We can stop aging. We can live indefinitely. All of our biological bodies are limited, and we need to deal with overcoming their limitations with one means or another. There's nothing good about disease and death as much as we try to ennoble it. People have had no alternative but to rationalize, oh, that tragic thing, that's really a good thing. But death is a profound tragedy. It's a profound loss of relationships and knowledge and skill and meaning.
The robotic blood cells will supposedly improve us and keep us healthy, as he says. But what if that's just the gloss to sell us on such bodily intrusions? Just as we're being sold on the idea of a smart environment, a techno-matrix that will vibrate with not just intelligence but connection. What indeed is the World Wide Web? We may think it's the internet, but it will be the humming network of everything connected through ubiquitous intelligence, intelligence that is everywhere. Artificial intelligence will connect the world. Homo sapien will be transformed into Homo evolutus. Biological processes will be run by technology. Living things will not be reproductive. The earth will be populated with engineered species, and all processes will be patented, licensed, and controlled. You could consider nanotechnology the installation of artificial intelligence in living and non-living things.
When we say something is nano, we mean it is very small. The size of 1 nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter, which is about 100,000 times smaller than the width of a human hair. Making new things at this incredibly small scale is called nanotechnology, and it's one of the most exciting and fast-moving areas of science today.
Smart dust and smart motes, for instance, are tiny nanosensors that can float and land anywhere. As Kurzweil declares, self-replicating nanotechnology will infuse everything around us with itself.
I see as a person, I'm human, and I'm really limited and restricted in what I do. So if I could come out of the singularity, being mentally and physically upgraded, yeah, I'd go for that. So I don't mind changing dramatically from what I am.
Eventually, we're going to transcend humanity. Eventually, we're going to go beyond the whole way of thinking, feeling, existing, and relating that constitutes humanity.
The singularity is of mythic proportions. It's an idea so large that we have to deal with it, even if it turns out not to be true.
As we merge with machines, and I think it's inevitable that we will transform into something new.
And as the technology becomes vastly superior to what we are, then the small proportion that's still human gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it's just utterly negligible.
Anybody who is going to be resisting this progress forward is going to be resisting evolution. And fundamentally, they will die out. It's not a matter of whether it's good or bad. It's going to happen.
You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Free will, that's over.
That's over.
Over. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. Yeah, I mean, everything is being digitalized. Everything is being monitored. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to. But in a crisis, you see we have no chance. So let's do it.
It won't help us go.
It will help us, of course. It will make things, you know, more manageable. Surveillance. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. This, I believe, is maybe the most important event of the 21st century.
Suppose that this rather frightful prospect comes about. I mean, are people going to be happy under this kind of regime? Well, I think you could. I mean, this was one of the sort of what I may call the messages of Brave New World, that it is possible to make people contented with their servitude. I think this can be done. I think it has been done in the past, but then I think it could be done even more effectively now, because you can provide them with bread and circuses, and you can provide them with endless amounts of distractions and propaganda.